Hello and welcome to Earth is Waking Up. I'm your host, Jeremy Anderson, and today our guest, Rebecca Hall, is an expert in Purium products. She's a distributor, health coach, and maybe I'll let you tell us a little more about yourself and your background. And welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Jeremy. It's an honor to be here, and thanks so much. And can you hear me very well?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yep, I live here in Kauai, and I'm a massage therapist. Have been doing structural integration work for, I want to say, about 15 years, and the same yoga instructor as well. And mom of an 8-year-old and beautiful husband, and have a large organization in the superfoods company as well, Purium Health Products, and also female author. So lots going on for me in my life, but thank you. It's a pleasure being here, and I'm excited about this interview. Thank you.
Yeah. So how long have you been health coaching?
I want to say as long as I've been teaching people on the yoga mat, and also as long as I have been with the massage therapy. So it goes back quite a long time, about 15 years. And then the nutrition piece came in probably about 4 years ago, like a lot deeper, because I had my own personal transformation, and then it went from there. So my mum is a botanist and a horticulturalist, so I learned a lot from her at a very young age, and she's very well-rounded and is a great cook and things like that. So I sort of lean back to her and thank you, Mum.
Right.
A lot about plants when I was very little, and I loved it. So yeah.
Great. So you must have learned enough early on, because you were part of writing a book a couple years ago. Can you tell us a little about that, what the name of the book is and what it was on?
Yeah, sure. So I got invited to co-author with about 15 other women across the globe. And it's a woman's wellness book, and it touches on every aspect of wellness. It's called On Her Plate, right here. And my piece is basically on humans finding balance with the world and how we can, live better with the world, and it's sharing the depth of agriculture, what's truly happening on our planet, and how us as humans are responding to that, and environmental toxins and so forth. So that was a real honor to write in there. It was a lot, but I learned a lot, and there's a lot going on our planet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The the imbalance of masculine and feminine energies, and the way that our world has been led the last however many millennia has put us into a bit of a mess. And so I love and appreciate that the type of work that you're doing, that your book that you're writing about, and that Purium is all about, is a big part of helping bring some of that back into balance.
It is
part of what you're working on.
Yep, exactly. And so when we look at the world as a whole, like the real world really is, it's an ecosystem. Unfortunately, sorry, I'm getting these notifications. Can you hear them on your end?
No, but it made you quiet for a second.
Awesome. So when we look at the world, it by itself, it is its own ecosystem that can continuously feed itself and reheal itself, rebuild itself when everything is in balance. And the same as a human body, we're mostly bacteria, and when we're in balance, our ecosystem, our internal ecosystem, our hormones, everything is working right, and people feel well. It's the same as the planet. So what's been going on, and since the Industrial Revolution, is exponential, and as human beings living on the planet, we're really feeling that as well. I always imagine us, Jeremy, when we're kind of like one of those car washing sponges. The human body is, we absorb, you know, we absorb things. We absorb our environment, whether it's emotionally, whether it's through chemicals and our food as well. So I always envision the human body is like a big car sponge. And if you're fortunate enough to live in a beautiful, clean area, then that's amazing, because then your body, that beautiful part of the environment. But unfortunately, what's been happening in our planet for many, many years is environmental toxins. So us as that car washing sponge, we're kind of like in the big bucket of environmental toxins, and we absorb them, and it's accumulative. So it's in the food, it's in the air, it's in the water. We literally are getting bombarded. And now with the 5G and, you know, there's different exposures to other things as well, the body's really taking on a lot, and so is the planet. So
yeah. So everything in life is in cycles, including in our body. And so, you know, sometimes we eat and sometimes we don't. We take things in, nutrients and so forth, and sometimes we need to flush some of that out and detox. And so, and when we don't, we start to build up the toxins, and it creates this inflammation and chronic inflammation. Now, inflammation in itself is actually a defense mechanism for our body. It's beneficial to a point. But when we're overloaded with the toxins, it starts to build up this chronic inflammation that is kind of the one of the major factors of most
exactly
disease, right?
Exactly. And, you know, this is something I was seeing a long time ago with a lot of my massage clients and my yoga students, that the number one complaint, most all the time, it comes back to inflammation. Most everything stems back to inflammation.
Yeah.
And when we take a global view of what's truly happening with our agriculture, you know, what we've seen exponentially in, we'll talk about nutrients. Let's go back to nutrients a lot now. So a lot of people, we're not able to absorb nutrients because of what's happening in our food system. So the food system is, over the past, I want to say like 10 years or more, what's really been happening, if you start to look across the globe and across all agriculture, is that they've increased one chemical particularly, and it's called glyphosate. And most people know what Roundup is. Roundup is a weed killer, but glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup. And it's been used for many, many years, and it's been used for years in Australia. But what we've seen in the last 10 years, especially, maybe a little more, is the exponential increase of it being used on mostly everything. And because of bug resistance and weed resistance, this chemical has gotten even stronger. So what happens when this chemical is used on the food? It actually gets inside the food, so you can't wash it off, you can't bake it out, and it is an antibiotic, and it destroys good bacteria. So it gets into our body, it gets into the waterways, it gets into the soils. But what happens when we ingest this? It gets into our body and it kills our good gut bacteria, which is where our immune system lies. You know, so this chronic inflammation that we're seeing across the globe, that I've seen for years in my clients, no matter how healthy we think we're eating, unless we're actually growing all our own food and we know our own farmers, and you know the process of the food and you know who's handling it, unless you know that, most things now have residue on it. So it's been quite hard for organic grain farmers to secure yield that has no residue. It's coming around, like the farming is coming back around, where people are actually being more and more in control of any cross contaminants. Yeah. So what happens when this gets in our body is it destroys our good gut bacteria, and our good gut bacteria, they're like little security guards on our intestinal lining to stop, you know, the microns extending and that create overgrowth of bacteria, which creates systemic inflammation. So most everyone has this chemical in their body. We even tested ourselves and we had this chemical in our body. Thankfully, we've been able to reduce that with a really amazing supplement that's proven to remove glyphosate specifically. So
That's
when,
amazing.
yeah, when people are looking for food, you know, it's really interesting now, Jeremy, and especially with what's happening with viruses and this shutdown. But in general, most people don't have access to very clean food, and a lot of it has residue. It's even being found in organic meats. It's found in the umbilical cords of babies. It's found in mother's breast milk because it attaches itself to fat cells.
Yeah.
Found everywhere, no matter if you're vegan or keto or what category
Right.
we're ourselves in.
Yeah, we're kind of bombarded by it by all angles. So I want to back up a little bit. So
Yeah.
my understanding is that when Roundup is used on crops, it's not just on the outside, but it actually, even on the plants, it's absorbed into the plants through
Yep.
wherever. But what it does is it prevents the plants from being able to absorb nutrients from the soil. And so
Exactly.
when we hear about this depleted soil, what I'm thinking is it really the soil, or is it this glyphosate, this Roundup that's being used so the plants can't absorb the nutrients? And then when we eat those plants, our body doesn't get the nutrients. And then second, with that glyphosate in our body, it kills off our natural gut bacteria as well as chelates the minerals and nutrients from within our body and flushes those out. So it goes in and just decimates our gut
Exactly.
microbiome. And so then our body becomes nutrient deficient and we can't get those nutrients our body needs to cleanse and detox itself like it normally would.
Yeah.
And then we start to get sick with the chronic issues as it carries forward. So
Exactly. Spot on. And it's an endocrine disruptor. So, you know, like we're constantly getting bombarded with all kinds of things, and then this stuff's in our food. So when we talk about immunity, you know, and then we're talking about like viruses that are around, or people, you know, there's this illness around. What people don't realize and what has not been exposed, it's been exposed quite a bit in the last year, but if you're not truly educating yourself and seeing what's happening, we just don't know. And when people are going gluten-free, when people are switching to vegan, so that's one thing too. When people switch to vegan, a lot of times there's, you know, the gluten-free thing comes in as well. And again, being gluten-free, non-GMO does not secure that these foods have no residue in them. So, you know, this endocrine disruption's happening. So a lot of the consultations that I've had actually in the last year, which is pretty like it's heavy on the heart, because a lot of women that I'm talking to have thyroid. They're on the early medication on thyroid. They're either having their thyroid removed, and they're very young. And also too, what we're seeing with a lot of women is their menstrual cycle is they're either not getting it or it's completely messed up. And also too, the sperm count is really low as well. So there's destruction across the world with this happening, and this is one thing people are not really seeing, that it's the food is a massive antibiotic and it's destroying our immune system every time we do something, you know. So
yeah, and our immune systems are paramount. I mean, that's what protects our body from all these viruses and bacteria and yeast. Can you talk a little about how how you support people with keeping their immune system strong so they have that protection?
Yep, exactly. So you know, it was about 4 years ago that my husband and I hit rock bottom because we were inflamed and we were, you know, we juice a lot and we were living out of our garden. And then we came across these superfood protocols that had been pieced together. And I have a long story, but I'm just going to be brief on this here. So we started on the dense superfoods, and what I was blown away with was that my lifetime osteoarthritis, I was diagnosed with severe arthritis as a teenager, and was told that I'd be looking at knee replacements and possible hip replacements into my late 30s, early 40s. I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I didn't think I was a teenager. I continue to surf and like do exercise and things like that, but I always had this chronic inflammation in my joints, you know. And so anyway, my husband and I started on these superfood protocols, and within not very long, within a week or so, my arthritic pain and inflammation just subsided like rapidly. So I started to sort of research a little deeper what's going on here, you know, and it made me realize how cumulative I was with like heavy metals and things like that my body had been storing over the decades. So after that, I just did my research, and what's truly happening, you know, again, we're coming back to this mineral absorption, and also to like helping people to detox heavy metals just gently, and also detox glyphosate, which is a really huge piece right now, to heal that gut lining, to start to close the microns in the gut lining, because as you know, it's kind of like a web. Yeah. You know, people have
leaky gut.
Big microns now. They're like huge. Like most people have these big microns, and like you said, Jeremy, this bacterial overgrowth is created because we just don't have the protection. So what I do is support people to not only start to move the toxins that have been accumulative for a long time, but we start to rebalance the hormones by getting people sleeping well again. We really work on the sleep piece, and we start to really heal that gut lining, starting to remove the glyphosate particularly, which is a really big piece of what we do in this company. And again, I mentioned before, we have one of the only supplements that has been proven to remove the glyphosate, the Roundup, which we've been able to reduce. We've done a second urine test with the Great Plains Laboratory, and thankfully we're being able to reduce that, which is really good.
Yeah.
Work on tightening up that gut lining so people can start to actually absorb minerals and nutrients again. And then in these protocols, what we have, Jeremy, also too, is these living micro macronutrient living shakes. So we have sprouted and living, and they're very dense in their minerals. So once we start to tighten that gut lining up, we really start to remineralize the body, because like you said, most people have chelated all the minerals out of their body, and the thyroid is governed by minerals. So, you know, really getting the hormones back and balanced again. And it's really simple. Most people are blown away at how simple it is, because they just add it into their day. And then what happens, their cravings start to disappear because their gut is coming back online. They're sleeping better. Their cortisol levels are down, which is something we're seeing right now. It's cortisol is running rampant.
Yeah.
And we start to we can do gentle parasite cleansing. When we talk about cleansing and detox, some people get freaked out, but the way we do it is very gentle, and it's done on the daily, and we're actually re-nutrifying the body without starving the body. So most cleansing and detox, when we think about that, it's people are feared that they're not going to be able to have anything. So we make it very simple. People can still eat nice clean foods, and we help people get back on track with the way they eat and what they want to eat, and actually eat less too, because they're not constantly craving. Not everything seeping through their intestinal lining going nowhere. So it's really amazing. We've had, over the last 4 years, we've supported directly and indirectly close to 4,000 people.
Wow.
From Lyme disease, diabetics. We have amazing blood work that comes back from people in a really short period of time. Most all gut problems, we're talking about leaky gut, people with GERD, you name it. It's just, the list goes on and on and on. Depression, we've worked with chronic depression, suicide depression.
Yeah. Well, real quick on the leaky gut. One of the other doctors I've interviewed put on the Gluten Summit and is an expert in autoimmune diseases. And one of the things that he pointed out is with leaky gut, that the food particles don't break down far enough to be fully absorbed by the body, but yet they slip through that intestinal wall anyways into the bloodstream. And the
Yep.
food particles in the bloodstream, the body sees that and starts to attack it. The immune
Mm-hmm.
system starts to attack those. And so the immune system is actually in full bore going after that. And so
Yes.
that's what causes a lot of these autoimmune diseases. Um, and so it's critical that we uh, reverse that the autoimmune issues through repairing the leaky gut. And I think that the Biomedic product that we have is exactly geared to do that, to
Yes.
start to chelate out all of that glyphosate so that the gut can start to rebuild the microbiome and all of the beneficial bacteria that live in there. Yeah, because it has prebiotics and probiotics mixed in as well, right?
Exactly. And, you know, most people have, like you said, most people have digestive issues. And again, it's not their fault. It's the food system that we have right now is we're so dependent on the food system that it's, if you're watching this, it's not your fault, but there is solutions, you know, and the solutions there are, including us as a company, there are people out there that are fighting for clean food, clean organic foods they want people to thrive, you know, and this is where Dave, the phytochemist that owns Purium, he'd seen this like 30 years ago. He'd seen this disaster, this crisis. We'll talk about crisis, talk about food crisis, chronic illness, is that the food system was such a mess, and the truth about what really was in food wasn't being shared and exposed. So they have just put everything on the line to have pure, clean, uncontaminated, no fillers, no synthetics, no binders in their foods. They've even mortgaged their properties to keep clean organic foods coming out to the people. And the beautiful thing about what Dave has done, the way that they grow their own wheatgrass and they do it right on the property. They air dry it. So the beautiful thing about their greens is it's not heat dried, and the minerals, the nutrients, the vitamins are kept intact close to 100% because it's done at 66 degrees. But this is very, very unique, and you don't really see this in any kind of whole food air drying. And it can be delivered straight to your door, so it doesn't lose. The thing is, when we get a broccoli that's been harvested from a farm that is probably on the mainland and it's been cut early, it's being put into a refrigerated truck, into a refrigerated warehouse, onto a cargo, finally into the store and into our own refrigerator. The nutrient levels are so low. So what Dave's done is his living shakes is he kept that nutrient level intact. So by the time we get it and put it in our bodies, the body, woohoo, it's like a party because it's really feeling these minerals, you know. And he's made it so accessible for people where you can actually just order online and it comes straight to your door, and it's inexpensive because you can get a pack and it will, you know, you can spend $5 to $10 a day and get all up and above baseline nutrition in your house at your door really, really fast. And it saves you cravings and it saves you buying all this other stuff as well. I mean, our food bill's been cut down probably by like $600 a month because our gut lining is tight and we're satisfied, our cells are satisfied, and we're just constantly banking into our cells every time we have this stuff. So
yeah. So I interviewed Dave, and I've got his interview attached, linked on here as well. And he talked about some of the people that he studied with. Ann Wigmore, she was like the mother of wheatgrass.
yes.
And because it's a living food, and the nutrients that are in there are so beneficial for our bodies. He also studied with Paul Bragg and with some other some other great teachers as well. And so the fact that he's got that background speaks to some of the quality and the integrity in the ingredient selection, the processes that he's followed in creating these formulas are amazing. and
Yes.
pretty much unheard of in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Most people seem to cut corners on their products because
Yeah.
they'll find a particular somebody to process it for them and do it all, and they've got their ways that they typically do things, and what Dave's done is so high quality. That's
Exactly. Very unique. And, you know, Dave and Amy were on the forefront so because they're in control of every ingredient that comes in, and they make their own capsules. So for example, like if you buy an optimal immune support pack, it comes with like a virus shore, and they're in control of like where the neem comes from. They know all the farmers. The farmers have to actually go through a rigorous forms to actually state that they don't spray, they don't have any chemicals coming on their property. And Dave and Amy have actually been to farms where they've seen, they're like, where are your weeds? Like, you guys are saying you're organic and there's no weeds here, you guys are spraying, right? So Dave and Amy really pushed to get this organic certification happening way back in the 90s. Like they were one of the ones that really pushed to have that come out, so farms are actually abiding by the rules of not spraying. But things have kind of changed now that the FDA got involved. I think people, there's more and more farms that are buying into labeling when they're not truthfully 100% not spraying. And Dave and Amy also pushed to keep living foods back in the late 80s because people were so afraid of bacteria. So we can thank them for living foods to be around right now, because they really were on the forefront of making that happen and teaching people that this good bacteria is not going to kill you. It's different bacteria, salmonella and stuff. So they really pushed for living foods to stay and living foods to be out. So thanks, Dave and Amy.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, forerunners way back in the day when, organic was just yeah.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's not just a fad. It's not just a hyped up fad that the mainstream tries to make it sound like. It's ridiculous. It drives me nuts. Like, oh my gosh.
Exactly. Yes.
So immunity. So it's so important that we build our immune systems. And can you talk some about the products that do that we offer, and how they go about that?
Yep, sure. So what we've had always with the company is we have a lot of immune support. And again, Jeremy, what we were just talking about is the importance of getting the gut microbiome back online, getting that lining nice and tight, detoxing the glyphosate. So we have a pack that we've actually created for immune support recently because of the coronavirus. Everyone was piecing together all the virus protection supplements that we have. So Dave and Amy, let's just put a pack together. It's called Optimal Immune Support Pack. And it comes with a Biome, which has been proven to increase the immune system by 35% in a very short period of time. It's been proven to remove 75% of glyphosate. And it's also been proven to reduce C-reactive proteins, which is amazing.
Biomarker for glyphosate in the body, right?
Yeah, biomarker for inflammation.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so if someone goes and get their heart checked, they check like C-reactive proteins. So the Biome is in that pack, which is key. We have the Power Shake, which is a dense living green power shake, which you can have, you just add it to water, and it's equivalent to about 7 superfood salads. It's all from plants.
I love for breakfast. It's so good.
I love it. It's delicious. It's so yummy that a baby can sip on that at 6 months old, you guys. So this is how clean and pure this stuff is.
It's way safer than Similac or Enfamil, right?
Totally. It's nature's greatest multivitamin. Mama's breast milk comes out green, which is amazing. If you're watching, don't like green, then we do green. And that pack can come with the Love Shake, which is one of Dave's signature beginning live organic vegan, which the Love stands for. It's 36 sprouted fermented ingredients for all the mushrooms, all the adaptogens. So especially in these times, like, people need to keep their nervous system calm. and also keep the hormones balanced, which goes hand in hand, correct?
Yeah.
So that love shape comes in that pack. We have the Virus Shore. The Virus Shore has the virus protecting herbs like neem and spirulina in that. We have an amazing C from nature. So when we talk about vitamin C, if those that are watching, when we talk about vitamin C, one of the worst vitamin C's that you can have is synthesized because it's from ascorbic acid. And we know where ascorbic acid comes from, right? Corn. So this actually destroys the immune system rather than increasing it. So most vitamin C's are synthesized. I actually have it right here next to me. I've been taking handfuls of these. Of course, we know that getting our vitamin C from lemons and oranges and grapefruits if they're organic, but on a supplement form, this one's really amazing. It's 2,300 milligrams, and it's got it's all from nature. So amla berry, the amla berry is like really amazing. Do your research on that. Camu, most people know camu is very high in vitamin C. We have the acerola cherry, which is incredible. And bioflavonoids, rose hips as well. So this C from nature is in that pack as well. So these are Dave's formulations that he's had for many years, but we've created this optimal immune support pack for people. We also have a tart cherry concentrate, which is nature's only occurring melatonin. So again, when you hear about melatonin, most tablets are synthesized. So some people say, oh, I have melatonin, but I tend to wake up in the night. So the beautiful thing about the tart cherry concentrate is that because it's straight from nature, that is where melatonin comes from. It puts people into a deep sleep and it helps those cortisol levels come down. When we talk about immunity, we really want to keep stress levels down because the stress actually has been studied that stress can kill our gut bacteria as well. You know, it can create problems in the microbiota. So getting the good rest.
It throws off the hormones as well, which
throws off the hormones.
Being able to heal.
Exactly. And so we're seeing, you know, we're seeing a global pandemic. I want to see people being overweight as well because there's high levels of stress. They're not sleeping properly. They have possible parasites which keep people awake. And they're nutrient deficient. So they're tossing and turning all night long. So the hormones are imbalanced. So they actually have a really hard time losing weight. Mm-hmm. So the apothecary puts people back into that rhythm, that circadian rhythm to help balance everything out as well. So the world is actually going through a deep sleep right now because everyone's taking a break.
Right. And the apothecary also is really beneficial for reducing inflammation as well, right?
100%. It scavenges like oxidative stress. So it's kind of like a Roomba vacuum. It will go in and just like scavenge up oxidative stress. It cleans out the kidneys and the bladder while you're sleeping. It's really good for people with gout. So again, there's inflammation. So that comes in the pack. That's amazing. And what else comes in that pack? We have the Super Amino 23. And hey, honey, really done.
I found all the stuff.
Okay, then. This is real life here. And it comes with the Super Amino 23, and what they are is the 8 essential amino acids. It's an incredible blend where a lot of times when people eat meat or they're searching for protein, what happens when we eat protein, we usually get around 20 to 40% of the protein delivered into our bloodstream depending on the protein source. So these super aminos, what they do is when you take them in, they actually bypass the stomach. They're pre-digested, so the stomach has no load on the stomach, kidneys or liver. They go straight into the bloodstream within 23 minutes and you're getting close to 100% of the protein. Wow. Really amazing, especially during times of like crisis. They're saying right now we're in such a crisis time with the pandemic, this corona. We take these aminos all the time anyway. They tighten up the skin. They're like nature's Botox. They really, really feed the body at the cellular level. And that's
without the oxidative stress of eating animal proteins, right?
Yes, there's exactly, because there's no nitrogenous waste like when we eat a bit of meat, or if you eat meat, the body, what it's essentially looking for is the amino acids. So it has to break down that whole meat, and then there's all this nitrogenous waste that the kidneys have to process, and the liver and the stomach. So these super aminos come in most all the packs, Jeremy, and they're like phenomenal. My husband and I fight over the last 5, and it's just and our whole community, we're like, if anyone's run out of anything, we're like, have you got any of this or any of the shakes? So yeah, we're really hooked on this stuff, and it's been a life changer for thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just amazing, especially now the sales are through the roof because we have been able to stay open in California because we're a source of food. We've had some of the highest sales that we've had in years because people are being able to have this clean food delivered to their door, and it's the way, you know.
So during this pandemic shutdown, they're still allowed to be open as a food source. That's
great. So we were like, yes, thank you.
and so kids and pets.
Yep. Kids and pets are actually getting bombarded. Like, sorry, they're like animals have, like dogs have, we've never seen such a high amount of dogs with cancer. So Dave, everything that we have, the children can have as well. The children also too are just exponentially getting, soaking up these chemicals, environmental chemicals, you know. So what we do is we re-heal the gut lining for the kids. Same thing, Dave actually formulated a really good kids shake that has the Biome in it, because all of us were actually just cracking the Biome into our children's mouth or smoothies, and he actually went and formulated a real beautiful shake for the kids that has the adaptogens in it, and it has the Biome, and also for our fur babies, the dogs, and you can sprinkle it on your cat's food as well. So I just got a really good testimonial back from my friend that lives in the snow, and she's been giving the Epi-Genius dog to her dogs, and her dogs were older and they weren't lively. And she sent me this video and it was snowing. She said, my dogs have not jumped around in the snow for years, and she said it's because of the green foods that she's feeding them and the Epi-Genius dog sprinkle, which is superfoods as well. So that was a really good.
You see your friend that lives in the snow, almost as if you've never been in the snow before.
I know. I live in the snow. I know. Just getting back from Canada. But exactly. So she's stoked, and the testimonials that continue to come back are just amazing, and it keeps us going. People being able to sleep and actually digest foods again. And we have some amazing autism testimonials as well, Jeremy. So we work with the autistic community. Yeah,
that's right. Dave's got an organization he's created, right, around that.
He does the Awaken Project, where he hosts families up at his property, and they have all kinds of special activities for them, and they nourish the families. And yeah, the Awaken Project, you can check that out online as well. So
awesome. So what other health issues do people typically see benefits or changes, transformations by taking some of these products? And
they feel light again. They can think again. So and of course people get really balanced in their weight. The chronic pain is a huge one that people just like, I'm not in any pain anymore. And for me, I've had no chronic pain for about 4 years. Same as my husband. Their sports recovery time is like that. Yeah. They're injured. They don't really get injured anymore. They're calm. They're more calm. They have better relationships. I mean, this is on an emotional side, but their body feels light. You know, they don't get depressed anymore. We've had type 2 diabetics that are not type 2 diabetic anymore. Wow. The list we've had so many friends that had Lyme disease, and they've tried everything, and they've come and they've done specific protocols that we've pieced together for them, and they feel great again. Like, you know, they kind of, they don't have many, what's the right word? Yes, exactly. So the Lyme piece is really big. We work with cancer recovery, and children. You know, we work with families as a whole, like getting back into eating better, and, you know, helping kids be calm because the food's so crazy. They're not grounded, you know. So yeah, the list goes on, Jeremy, with the testimonials, and it's just amazing what keeps coming back.
It seems to me like a lot of people feel like they've tried everything and nothing seems to work.
Yep.
Have you worked with people like that have
Yep.
seen?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think too, because the way our protocols work, because it's whole food, it's living food, it's easy to add into your day, and there's no pressure. So we work with people one-on-one, even if they do get a protocol where they want to lose weight, they can come in really slow and they can start to introduce the products. And if they want to increase and accelerate a little bit more, they can. But it really is all about this daily, like adding it in daily. So that takes all the pressure off of like doing intermittent fasting for 10 days, or, you know, but we do have schedules around that as well if people want to introduce these products, intermittent fasting. So we've really customized it to suit people individually. And I think that's where the success lies, is that we really listen and we ask the questions that pertain to them, and not just generally, but generally.
Our bodies are all different. Yeah.
Exactly. And generally people they can order a pack and they're going to have great success because they're getting re-nutrified and they're healing their gut and they're sleeping better and they're getting nourished. Yeah.
And I think another important point to make is that instead of like a water fast where the reactions from the body detoxing can be pretty harsh, this supports the body with nutrition so that it gets through that a lot easier. So you can still work, you can still live your normal, typical life, and get through a lot easier, and even get potentially even better effects because your body is getting used to absorbing these nutrients again that it hasn't been able to.
Exactly. Yeah, people freak out when they run out. Many friends travel and they take they take all their stuff and then when they run out, they're like, oh, I thought I was doing okay. And after 5 or 10, I'm like, oh my God, because the body really, we have a cellular intelligence. So when you really start to study the cells and how the body works, we have a cellular intelligence. And when you can put that into children at a very young age, like the tongue has an intelligence as well, like it knows what works. The body knows what feels right, and if you can do that at a very young age. So when you've been banking into your body these nutrients for so long and you don't have it, it's like, where am I getting it from? I'll even go make a big salad and eat it all, but I still feel like I'm missing something. So I'll go and have Dave's Living Greens because it's so dense and I'm getting it in such a small amount. It's just easy on the body. The body does not need a lot of food, but it needs the nutrients, you know.
It's so satisfying. It's
so
satisfying, but not in the heavy way, but in like a light, feel good, satisfying way, right?
Exactly. It's all about and it's also about that bioavailability, like you were talking before about people not being able to absorb nutrients. So once that gut lining is healed again and you're putting things in, you actually put less in. You put less in, you know, when your gut lining is healed. So there's, you know, the body's absorbing more nutrients. So there's less cravings, and the diabetes is, you know, people, you know, there's less of that happening as well. So yeah, it's been pretty amazing.
Great. So okay, let's break this down to action steps. If somebody's interested, what would be the best place to start? Best products, maybe to talk through protocols. Where?
Okay. So if you're generally well, it's good to do a consultation. I do free consultations. So if someone's watching this, Jeremy, we can connect. You can connect them with me and we can align them to a protocol that fits them. But what down for generally if you're well is the ultimate lifestyle transformation we've put together, which is going to heal the gut lining, help you sleep, give you the nutrients that you can add in daily. These are normally around about $409, but if you're getting the gift code, it's like an Uber referral. So with your code, Jeremy, they will save 25%. So it works out about $314. That pack is just one of our hottest packs because it allows people to pick from 3 different schedules. Whether they want to go slow, whether they want to add it in daily, whether they want to lose weight, or whether they want to add it into an intermittent fasting schedule. And so broken down in the 30 days, it's about, what's that about? I want to say that's like $10. It's like $11 a day. So they're saving money. And then the other pack, which is really just flying off the shelf right now currently, is the Optimal Immune Support Pack. And it's the same price. That one you use daily, and we can customize how you use it as well. So again, people save 25%. If you're on the mainland, with those packs, you get free shipping. If you're in Hawaii, it's $4.95. Because we're so busy right now, if you're watching this in, where are we, March 2020, the shipping is a couple of days delayed, but usually it's only a couple of days on the mainland. But because we're just exponentially busy, but in general, it's 2 days on the mainland after the day of processing, and then Hawaii is like 4 to 5 days. And yeah, if you're international and you're watching this, you can definitely order. We have to call the orders in to customer service, but you're more than welcome to be a customer. We have amazing reward points when people, if they want to reorder, they get points that go towards future orders. And also too, what we've opened up, Jeremy, because of this crisis where people are not being able to work, what we've had is a massive influx of people looking for online work, and especially the conscious community they've been looking at this company for quite a while because it's very conscious, and I call it like making green money, because you're helping people transform their health and you get paid to do that, and you transform your own health as well. So we opened up free enrollment with these 2 packs, and when I got started it was like $1,000. So this is huge. This allows people to get their food, their pack, get a digital code they can share instantly with friends and family. Anytime someone orders, they'll get 20% that'll go into their bank, and people get paid every single Tuesday. And then we get another payment on the 12th of every month. So we get paid 5 times a month. So it's been, this financial immunity too is a really big piece of what we're seeing globally as well. So that's why Dave and Amy have opened up this how to make money with the company as well, because a lot of the stress and the illness, chronic illness, was coming from people not making money and being in the matrix of the system. So now we're really seeing how flawed the system is, and people looking to find new ways of making money and making green money, as I call it, healthy money in the hands of right people, you know. And this is the beautiful thing about our company, is it's this paid forward sort of healthy money, creating healthy money immune systems as well. So it's been amazing for us. And we were in Canada. We got the last flights home from Canada to Hawaii during this coronavirus. We got the last flights home, but we were receiving emails saying that we had money going into our bank because people love the superfood so much they continue to buy it, and we continue to get paid. So
that's amazing.
It's very healthy.
That's passive income.
Yes, it relieves a lot of stress, you know, and it's really relieved a lot of stress for our family, and it helps us sleep better at night because we have, it's like security. It's like the security blanket. You have money coming in while you're sleeping. So
for sure. And to be supporting people in transforming their health to feel better 100%. And overcome those chronic issues and pain and sickness.
That's where it comes from. Yep, exactly. So the larger the organization is, like our organization, it means the more lives we've touched. And as a massage therapist, I've touched many, many lives and one-to-one. And this has been exponential, how many lives we've been able to transform, because people are not walking around with signs hanging from them saying, I'm in chronic pain, I'm so depressed, I'm, not sleeping at night, I don't know where food's coming from. So yeah, it's really been amazing for us, and the testimonials just keep us fueled and keep us going. So
Yeah. Great. Well, I guess we can wrap it up unless there's more you want to talk about. I think we've covered some pretty good bases. Good.
Just everyone, I think what I would like to share from here is when people are seeking information and they listen to like a podcast or an audio, or they read information, the number one thing is for them to put things into action, because it's a waste of time, but the more we educate ourselves and the more we actually put that into action, that's where true transformation begins to start, and not only for us but for the planet. So really, really re-nourishing yourself if you're watching this, and loving back on your body and sleeping well and your family, and it's all a win-win for the planet as well. So voting with our dollars and choosing the right companies and farms and farmers to work with is a really huge piece right now. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. So links for everything we've talked about, all the different products and some others, are listed below, and as well as a way to get hold of us. So I want to thank everyone for listening, and I want to thank you, Rebecca, for being on the show and sharing this work and what you're doing for humanity. And
thank you, Jeremy, and thank you for, exactly having your Earth is waking up, and I think it's time. It's been a pleasure, and I love how we're both wearing yellow.
I know, we coordinated.
Thank you so much, Jeremy.
All right, thank you so much, and thanks again to the listeners. And
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha and much love. Mahalo.
Mahalo.